Hello everyone, I'm Arunima from Knit and Otter, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make the moss stitch in Tunisian crochet. For the purpose of this tutorial I'm going to start with a 15 chain, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, so that's an odd number. I'm going to skip that first chain and I'm going to make my foundation row stitches in these back bars. Now I'm going to go ahead and make the return pass. So that's chain 1 and then yarn over, pull through 2 all the way to the beginning. So that's a normal foundation row. And now for making that moss pattern, I'm going to start with a knit stitch in that first foundation row stitch, and then yarn over and then skip that next stitch and then make a knit stitch in the next one, and then yarn over, skip the next one, knit stitch in the next, all the way till the end. And now we have this last stitch remaining, so just make that edge stitch by picking up the last 2 vertical bars, and then chain 1 and yarn over, pull through 2 loops all the way to the beginning. So that's row 1. And you see that there is a stitch and a space throughout this row. So that's very much like a regular crochet moss stitch where you have single crochet stitches and then a space, a chain space, and a single crochet and a chain space. So that's how it looks after the end of row 1. For row 2, so this is a 2-row repeat. So for row 2, you start with a full stitch in this first chain space and then yarn over and a full stitch in the next chain space, yarn over, a full stitch in the next. So this is very easy to make because you don't really have to look for the space where you need to make your stitch. It's very easy to find. And I have this full stitch in this last chain space here, and I'm going to yarn over once to account for that knit stitch at the bottom, and then I'm going to make my edge stitch. So I'm going to chain 1 and yarn over, pull through 2 all the way to the beginning. So your spaces will line up on top of full stitches, and your full stitches will line up on top of knit stitches, on top of full stitches beyond this row. So this will be a 2-row repeat after this. So this is the first row of the repeat, and the second row of the repeat would be very similar to this first row, where you'd, instead of making knit stitches, you'd just yarn over, and instead of making a knit stitch like in that row, you just make a full stitch in this space. So all you have to do is line your yarn overs on top of full stitches and your full stitches on top of chain spaces. And end it with an edge stitch. And I'm going to make one more row. So here I have this chain space, so I'm going to start with a full stitch and then a yarn over, a full stitch, yarn over, full stitch, yarn over, full stitch, yarn over, full stitch. So this works up really quickly, And you just have to make sure that you don't mistakenly add or remove stitches towards the end. So you'd have to keep track of which row repeat you are on. So that's how it's looking. It's nice and drapey. It's very pretty. And to end this, what I'm going to do is, so you could make this for whatever length you want. You just repeat these last two rows that I just made. And then to bind off, what I like to do is I like to make, so instead of yarn over chain space, I just, so instead of yarn over full stitch, I make a knit stitch in the previous full stitch and then full stitch in the chain space, knit stitch in the previous full stitch in the chain space. So I keep going all the way till the end. And then make the return pass. And so that sort of mirrors that first row, and I'm going to bind off using knit stitches. So I'm going to knit stitch and I'm going to slip, so using knitwise slip stitches, if that makes sense. So you're inserting your hook as if you were making a knit stitch, but you're going to bind it off using a slip stitch instead of letting the loop be on your hook. So that's how it looks. I think it's very, very easy to make this stitch, and I can see some very pretty things being made with this. That's pretty much it for this. Here I also want to show you how the back looks. So here's how the back looks. I think it's fairly reversible, this pattern. It's just that this bind off stitch looks a little different, and you can choose to do it differently. You could use another stitch to do this, or maybe even not bind off at all if that works for you. Sometimes it's okay to not bind off depending on how the stitch is. So that's pretty much it for this tutorial. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe so you can get notifications for any other videos that I upload. And I have a bunch of tutorials and support videos for free patterns on my channel, so feel free to check them out. And thank you for watching. Bye bye.